Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're continuing our look at the new cards, which are going to be coming out in Sun and Moon 7, in UK, Europe, US, etc. They're going to be in Celestial Storm, coming out first Friday in August. And today, it is the turn of Medicham, and if you've been playing Pokemon Go lately, you will have seen way too many Medichams and Meditites, enough to last you a lifetime. But this particular Medicham could actually be a really handy card, especially with the use of counter energy. But rather than just say that, let me explain. Now, it is a fighting Pokemon. Fighting Pokemon are good right now. You're hitting weakness against Zoroark, which is great. Against Silvally, which could be good in the future. I still think that card is going to get a little bit better as we go along here. So you're hitting a good weakness. And then, of course, you've got Diancie Prism Star to give you an extra 20 damage. Until the rotation, so that is about a month after this card is released, you got Strong Energy to do an extra 20 damage. And, of course, long past the rotation, you've got Brooklet Hill. Brooklet Hill allows you to search for a basic fighting or water Pokemon and put it onto your bench, and Meditite is going to be a fighting Pokemon, which means Brooklet Hill is going to be great for getting this rolling. Yay! Retreat cost of 1 is absolutely huge in our post-rotation environment, because we've got a skateboard. A skateboard gives you free retreat, but only if you've got a retreat cost of 1. I suppose a far better way of saying it would be, it gives you a retreat cost of 1 less. We're losing float stones, so a retreat cost of 1 post-rotation is absolutely huge. Medicham's got it. Yay! 90 HP is kind of low, to be perfectly honest. But as I always say, maybe one day we'll get a reprint of Level Ball. So, we have also got a weakness to Psychic here, which is a little bit of a pain. Garbodor will run through you nicely. But also Espeon. I mean, look, Espeon won't one-hit KO you using Psybeam. That is about the nicest thing we can say about it. Could be worse. But as always here, it is the attacks we are looking at. And as always, or at least as is mostly the case nowadays, our translation comes from the lovely David Hochmann, Mr. RappelmannTCG himself. 2 fighting energy, 10 damage. Boo! If this Pokemon has 30 or less remaining HP, this attack does 160 more damage. So if you've got 30 HP or less remaining, you do 170 for a, well, 2 fighting energy. But remember how I mentioned the whole counter energy thing? That's pretty relevant. More on that in just a moment. 170 is great. It is a fantastic number. It is an exceptionally relevant number. First of all, fairly obviously, Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele will go down here, as will pretty much any non-EX, non-GX. Obligatory Mamoswine reference, because it's got 180, but your vast majority of ones like Empoleon have 160, so you should be KOing pretty much any non-GX. And you'll be getting Tapu Lele, which is of course the main one. But of course then you could, if you were in the mood, play a choice band here, and then you would actually be hitting 200, and then the names of Pokemon you're one-hit KOing sound like a who's who of the standard format. Buzzwole, he gone. Duskmane Necrozma, he gone. Ultra Necrozma, he gone. And then of course you can go up to your 200 HPs, things like Lycanroc, he is of course gone. It's looking very nice indeed. You are getting a lot of incredibly relevant KOs. And that's, of course, bearing in mind that stuff like Zoroark will be completely and utterly smashed by this. And then, of course, we get to the attack cost. I mentioned counter energy before. Counter energy is great. Counter energy says that as long as you're behind on prizes, you attach it to one of your Pokemon, and it counts as 2 of any type of energy on a non-EX, non-GX. On a GX or an EX Pokemon, it's just 1 colorless energy. Can be attached to them, it just doesn't do very much. This sounds like fun. You could, of course, briefly use Max Elixir only before you evolve, and maybe do stuff like that to get up and rolling. But counter energy really is where this shines. Here's the problem though. You've got to have 30 HP remaining or less. That's a bit of a pain. Otherwise, you're doing 10 damage, and 10 damage, to be perfectly blunt with you, ain't particularly good. The thing is, the numbers are so good when you've got 30 or less HP remaining that it is actually worth investing in this and trying to give it a go, because if you can get it rolling, it is going to be a thing of absolute beauty. But how do we get it going? Well, there's basically two options we've got here. The easy way is only really an option in Expanded. It's Focus Sash. Focus Sash is one of those tools that we don't play, and then all of a sudden the card comes out and we're like, yes. Think, for instance, the Don fan from Champion Road. Go check that video out. I'll try and remember to pop a link in the description. But long story short, it does 10 damage for each damage counter on it. Focus Sash comes in very nicely. Well, the same thing here. Focus Sash basically says that if you would be one hit KO'd, so if you got any damage on you, it doesn't work. If you would be one hit KO'd, then instead of being one hit KO'd, you go to 10 HP remaining, and crucially, Focus Sash falls off. Which is very important, because then you could put on something like a choice band to hit the big numbers. Now, obviously, your opponent could play something like a field blower or similar in Expanded, but maybe they don't. And if they don't, this becomes amazing. It's a genuinely viable option, though if your opponent does have a field blower, it's fairly likely they're going to be able to hit for 90 damage. The much more difficult way to do this is to just know exactly what the other Pokemon do and be very, very confident in your predictions. So take something like a Zoroark GX. They're going to do 120. They're going to fill up their bench, do 120 and get a one-hit KO. Even if they've only got 4 on their bench, they'll do 100. You're going to get KO'd. Something like an Espeon, however, if there's no energy on it, then your opponent can only do a maximum of 60 with weakness, and that will activate your attack. Then again, if there is any energy on it, then they can add a double colorless, and then they can hit you for 120 and get the KO. And this is basically what you have to do with Medicham. If you're in Expanded, brilliant. You just use Focus Sash. In Standard, you've got to really hope your opponent can't one-hit KO, and the problem is most of the time they can. Now, maybe there are some weird combos we can pull off, where you're damaging it on the bench until it's ready to go, but it's not going to work all that often. The one I do like, though it is incredibly janky, is the Tyranitar from Champion Road, which basically just says when you attack, flip a coin for each Pokemon on either player's bench, 60 damage if it's a heads. So if you were to flip a coin with Tyranitar for this, then you would actually get yourself down to 30 HP remaining, and then you'd be rocking and rolling. It's not very likely, ladies and gentlemen. I think Focus Sash in Expanded is great, and I think in Standard it could work, but having to have 30 HP or less, and then really having to use a counter energy, just makes it too awkward. If it was for one fighting energy, I'd like it an awful lot more. The other attack here, however, is also kind of useful. We see a use for it. 2 fighting energy, 90 damage, you do 30 to yourself. Now, obviously, if you use this attack twice, you're then in range for the first attack, but that's just not going to happen. You've got 90 HP. As it stands, 90 for 2 energy, it's alright. It, with a choice band, will get a one-hit KO on a Zoroark GX. Without a choice band, it will get a one-hit KO on a Drampa, for instance. It's fine, but it's not particularly great. At the moment, if you just want to use counter energy on a fighting Pokemon, you're better off using a Sudowoodo from Breakpoint. And after rotation, I kind of feel like the Lycanroc from Forbidden Light might be a better option. It's fine as an attack, but you wouldn't play it for this attack. This would be a, oh no, I can use a counter energy, but would you believe it, I've got more than 30 HP remaining, I'll use this attack instead. Kind of attack. It's not one to rely on. I'm going to give Medicham between 2 and 3 Wassies. I like it, and I think it's interesting, but the combination of an attack cost which isn't 1 energy, and the fact that you have to have 30 HP or less remaining, really does limit this to, could be fun, but gonna be awkward kind of territory. If you can get it working, it hits the numbers beautifully. I just don't think you're going to often be able to get it working. Although in Expanded with Focus Sash, I like it a lot more, But do I really like it more than Don Fan from Champion Road? The answer is, and I'm not just saying this because Don Fan's in my logo, a resounding, over-the-top, ridiculously enthusiastic no. I don't like it more than Don Fan. Don Fan is much better. But I'd like to know what you think about this, so let me know in the comments section. Go nuts, be nice. Do you think it's going to see play, or have we just got better options? Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do remember that PTCG Radio is a weekly podcast on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called nowadays. It's a lot of fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.